The Sinking City. Okay, so initially I didn't find some, let's say, 10 out of 10 game reviews for this game. So I delayed playing the game. But lately there were some Black Friday sales, and usually there are some sales of this game for 10 euros. So, as I am a big fan of Lovecraft, I decided to buy this game. Also, I played the Call of Cthulhu game, and I played back in time, many years ago, Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corners of the Earth. So I think that there are not so many games in this universe, and it was really interesting for me to see this game. Also, these days you cannot find that many adventure games. It's mostly Call of Duty type of games, and either games that don't focus too much on the story, or they're kind of simple games where they lead you by the hand. So I miss the old days of, let's say, Sam and Max, or Horizon and Myst. This type of games where you pick some items, solve puzzles, talk to people, solve puzzles. And it's more about thinking, not so much about shooting enemies. Of course, this game does have fighting sequences where you fight monsters, but I wouldn't say they're the main goal. To a certain degree, this game tries to be like some puzzle. To a certain degree, it tries to be some horror game, but I think in terms of horror, it fails a bit, since I never found the game to be scary. Of course, you have like limited ammo, and you have to be careful when you shoot. But again, I don't find the game scary. Actually, I find this game a bit similar to a very old game called Nocturne. The main character there is also a detective. You fight supernatural forces, you solve puzzles, you have limited ammo. But Nocturne is some game which is in a totally different gaming universe. It was developed by Terminal Reality. Great stuff. So yeah, there is a bit of nostalgia for me playing The Sinking City. I would say this game sticks to the Lovecraft universe. Like, you can see these people who look like the people in Innsmouth. But then again, there are like some monsters which I have never encountered in the books of Lovecraft. Especially at some point there is some vampire character, which I don't know, like Lovecraft released a lot of fiction, and there is no book that gathers, or maybe let's say there is no ultimate collection of all of his works. But I have read a lot of his stuff, and I never recall him talking about vampires. So to a certain degree, this character looks a bit silly, but I mean, the character itself is not silly, but feels a bit out of place. You know, it's like playing Aliens versus Predator, and then you encounter the creature from the Black Lagoon or something like this. Now, about the gameplay, I'll try to describe all the mechanics. As I said, you solve some puzzles and you have the fighting sections. Of course, similar to Silent Hill, you have different difficulty settings for the combat, and you have difficulty setting for the puzzles. I think that I haven't touched the settings, so probably I played on normal. The puzzles revolve around collecting some items, talking to some people, doing some research, and based on everything you collect, you can draw some conclusions. So let's say you solve a bunch of quests, or maybe there is like some big quest, and in the end you have some scraps, let's say, and you need to piece them and draw a conclusion. This will impact the end of the quest and the fate of some characters. Maybe they live, maybe they die. It all depends on these conclusions and the choices you make. Sadly, in the end of the game, it kind of feels pointless. All of these decisions don't unlock different endings. When you reach the end of the game, you have 3 possible endings, and that's all. So, yeah, you have a bit of freedom and you can shape the world, but in the end, it doesn't make much of a difference. There is this room in your hotel where you can go, and some of the bigger quests have some impact, and you can read the newspaper in your room, and then you can see what happened after you completed some of the quests. In this room, of course, you can change how your character looks. In terms of clothes, of course, you cannot change the facial appearance. This is kind of cool, since the game is like in third person and you look at the character all the time, and it's a cool touch. Now the game is open world, so you have this big city and you wander around and you have this map to navigate. I like that the game sometimes says, okay, you need to go to the intersection of this street, and you navigate this way. So this is a nice touch. Instead of like giving you a precise marker, you just search the map, and it's kind of cool. After some time, you get to know the streets, and it feels a bit more realistic without being too annoying. Now, you navigate the city by foot most of the time, but there are like these water sections. You can swim in the water, but it's not advisable since there are like some monsters and they drain your energy and you might die. But you can pick some boat and travel this way. This is quite nice, I would say. It breaks the pace of the game a bit. Now, this open world is not something like Far Cry, where you can see some eagle carrying some small animal, or maybe you are driving and then some enemy convoy attacks you. Of course, here in the Sinking City, you have the night and day cycle, but this doesn't impact the game too much. There are no time-sensitive quests. Maybe it can limit the visibility in the distance, and it's harder to see the enemies, but that's about it. In terms of this open world, okay, you see some guy selling newspaper, or some drunk is hitting some innocent person. You can hit them back, or maybe hit someone else. They'll run away, or they'll start shooting at you. But it's more like this open world feels more like a gimmick than something like Far Cry, as I said, or even The Witcher, where this night and day life cycle feels more impactful, or maybe in Far Cry some animal can attack you during your walk in the forest, for example. But it's kind of cool. I mean, the whole city feels quite nice, quite moody, and from time to time when it rains, you feel like in these old detective movies, and there's this really nice jazz music, which is quite nice, and overall, at least to me, the atmosphere is excellent. Now, you have these RPG elements where you gain experience. When you kill monsters, you gain experience. When you solve puzzles, you gain experience. And you have different skills. So by gaining a level, you gain points, and you can spend these points on different skills. There are three main branches of skills. One is related to the crafting system, one is more related to vitality, and one is more related to the weapons. Most of the skills are quite useful. You can carry more ammunition, or you can increase the damage of the weapons, or you can increase your vitality, have a bigger health bar, or use less resources when you are crafting items. I think that by the end of the game, by solving most of the quests, I was able to gather most of the skills. So I guess that if you do everything, you will get to have all the skills. Now, there are some useless skills, such as one that allows you to swim in the water and take less damage from the monsters, but you can just pick the boat, and this skill essentially is useless. I mean, the boats spawn all the time, so it's not like you end up without a boat. I would try to describe how the puzzle system works. So, you know, sometimes you pick items, sometimes there is this detective type of game where you enter some other dimension. Let's say you pick up all the clues, all the evidence in some room. If you play on lower difficulty of the puzzles, you get all evidence collected. In higher difficulty, you will not get this message. So it doesn't make the puzzles more difficult, rather it makes them more tedious, like in old games where you have to pixel hunt for items and you go around and waste your time. So in this case, I would say it's advisable to switch to some lower puzzle difficulty, since you don't waste so much time. You know, you have collected all the items and that's all. After you collect all the items, you enter this dimension and you get to see what really happened. Let's say you see blood you have collected some blood on the floor, and then you see like some ghost standing there. Maybe someone has been shot or something like this. And you will see between 2 and 3, 4 ghosts standing there, and you will have a feeling as to what happened on the crime scene. And then you need to say, okay, what happened first, what happened second, what happened last, and you solve the puzzle. So you say this is the first, this is the second, you mark the events, and then you solve the puzzle. Now you have like some detective notes, and maybe sometimes you have some bigger quest, and you can read all of your notes there, and I never felt lost as what I need to do next. It was always quite clear. Of course, in the beginning, as you have not explored the whole city, sometimes it could be challenging, as I said at the very start. Since sometimes you find some clue, let's say you need to find some person, but you don't know where this person is located. So maybe someone got injured quite recently, and you just go to the hospital, and there is this system where you open some book, you search by some event occurrence. Did it happen recently or way back in time? You search by, let's say, some citizen or some official, and you search by the type of injury or something like this. If you are in the police department, is this some robbery? Is this some murder? And when you have picked the right combination, then of course you need to match these 3 elements according to some note in the detective notes. And if you have matched correctly, then okay, you have solved another puzzle. So as I said, there are like different types of puzzles where you enter this dimension or talk to people, ask them about events, or maybe pick some key items. Of course, you can enter this dimension by will, and you can see some hidden stuff, like some hidden doors where you can see, let's say, some bird, and the bird will tell you where to go, and then you will be able to find some hidden items. Now, as I mentioned, there is this crafting system where you pick some items, you can craft bullets, or you can craft 8 packs, where you can craft grenades, or Molotov cocktails. What can I say about the fighting system? Well, the fighting system is okay. I would say I read some really bad reviews, but I would say it's not that bad. You find different types of enemies, some small enemies, some bigger enemies, and some, let's say, boss-like creatures. There are like not too many boss fights, but they are there. Of course, if you run out of ammo, you can use melee, you have some shovel. For small creatures, it's okay, but there are like some really strong monsters which I will not attack using melee. I would rather escape. Actually, if you are in a room and some monsters attack you, you can escape the room, go outside on the street, and these monsters disappear. There are, of course, these infested areas where there are many monsters. You can avoid these infested areas altogether, but if you want to fight monsters, you can go there, maybe just to gain some experience. These infested areas are marked on the map. So it's not like you are going to end up there just by accident. There is this sanity system, which I find really cool, since I think some Cthulhu games avoid these sanity systems, but if you have read his works, they're big parts of the Cthulhu mythology. In this game, if you enter the dimension to solve puzzles, this draws your sanity system. If you face some of the stronger enemies, this drains your sanity. The result is that at some point you start to see monsters which are some shadows, and they can attack you and you can die. Maybe it's not the best implementation, but I find it cool. Of course, using some skills you can increase your sanity meter, or maybe you can craft these packs. Maybe they were called pills, and you can recover your meter. So this is also quite nice. I like this mechanic. Now, there is some repetition to this game. I mean, some areas, some rooms look very, very similar to other rooms. There is not a huge variety of monsters. Maybe 5-6 types, not more. NPCs look quite similar. Like, you'll see some NPCs which have the same face. Some quests can feel a bit tedious. Sometimes you're trying to solve the quest and do something else, but you go to someone and he says, well done, but you need to do one more additional thing. Let's say you are searching for someone and you ask somebody, okay, have you seen this person? No, I haven't, but if you solve some quest, I will tell you where this person is. You solve this quest, okay. Then he gives you some vague description. You go there, you talk to some other person, and it feels like the quest never ends. So sometimes it can feel a bit tedious. Also, the game drags on at some certain point. I think it tries to make some point, but it stretches this point for quite a long time. I think this main story could have been way shorter. As I said, I didn't like this decision that, okay, no matter what you choose to do, the three ends are always there and your actions don't have a great impact. I think these are most of the negatives. But overall, I find this game quite good, and I would even say it's like some hidden treasure, because, as I said, not many such games are released, where maybe in the indie scene there are more games. Not that this studio is that famous. It's made by, as far as I remember, a Ukrainian studio. I forgot to mention that from time to time there are these diving sections where you pick a diving suit and you go underwater. You walk very slowly, and there are some monsters that attack you. You can shoot them with some harpoon type of weapon. You have some flares. There are several such sections, but they are quite short, so it's good. The autosave system is quite nice as well. I never lost progress when I got killed. Actually, when you get killed, you return to the last waypoint. So basically, you can fast travel, you discover these waypoints and you can check them on the map, and when you reach some waypoint, you can travel that way from one waypoint to the other. This saves quite a lot of time. Overall, as I said, the music is quite nice. Quests are nice. I like this detective type of system. Atmosphere is quite nice. It's quite an enjoyable game. I think that it was quite stable. I didn't encounter some major bugs or problems. You can, of course, do all the quests and learn more about the city. I wish that at times the game went a bit deep with, let's say, these cult type of figures. Maybe the story could have been a bit deeper. But for what it is, it's quite good. I am thinking about whether I have missed something, but I think these are all my thoughts, and I can safely recommend the game. maybe not for the full price, but if you find it on discount, it's quite good and you will not regret it.